Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2, and the latest thing that I love is the Kineticist. Rage of Elements is amazing, and I'm going to do a character walkthrough guide of building a character walkthrough of a character creation. We're going to make a Kineticist today. So, I have a concept in general. I know I'm going with Earth, so I'm going to choose a dwarf. And I got a little dwarfy name to go with him. So, our dwarf, let's call him Harg Cragheart. Cuz he was once part of a rich clan who dabbled a bit too much in human politics because they had too much honesty. The dwarven clan were crossed time and time again, stolen from, cheated, and finally all of their wealth was lost. A few of them were even killed by jealous rival rich families, so he has suffered loss and need for years. He lived homeless and begging for a time, then turned to crime, became a mercenary guard, then finally a merchant. This is when his fortune changed forever. He discovered a woman lost in the desert. He protected her and fed her, and she blessed him with an earth gate. See, she was actually an earth weird, mystically cut off from her elemental pool until her strength was restored. So now our dwarf's eyes have been opened to an entirely new way to view the universe, planes, and elemental magic. The potential to wield magic exists in each of us, and now he's discovered it. His nature was changed by Terra, the Earthweird. She transmogrified him into a dust soul Oread as well, tying him to the desert sands forever. So now he can eat dust, dirt, sand, ash, soil, and he has a strong drive to recover his family's fortune. All right, you're probably not here for backstory, but that's me. Okay, so now we'll get to the mechanics. And now we change situations. I'm gonna cast a spell. It's gonna be a summoning spell. Jillabam boom! Amazing, isn't it? Poof. Rage of Elements! Obviously, that's what we're covering today. So enough of that picture. The Kineticist, here's the intro. This is where the character class begins in the book. We're not going to start here. Yeah, there's like instructions on how to start and like there's the Kineticist advancement chart. It doesn't matter. We're starting from the end with the composite feats, the composite impulses. Because if you're creating your character from scratch, you want to know where you're going to be ending up, especially with a Kineticist, because the Kineticist's powers build upon each other. If you're going to eventually want a composite impulse, you have to start off taking the impulse elements that will feed into that composite impulse. So like later on, if you find out you want the air-water composite impulse, because it's really cool at 4th level, and you only have earth and fire, you're screwed unless your GM's amazing. So, starting with the composites. And I know that I'm going with earth, because we have some interesting, tricky things to do with Earth that I'll talk about later. But first, I want to say thank you to Arkham Creed 4326 for pointing out several uses for base kinesis that are just world-changing. We're going to be using them. And I like the comparisons he made to Minecraft. Totally spoke to my soul. Thank you. So we're definitely going to be doing Earth. We have an earthy dwarf who is an Oread. All the Earth, we're doing lots of earthy earthness. So we know that one of the elements that we're going to have is Earth. When we're looking at composite impulses, they each have traits listed at the very top. So they each include 2 elemental traits. We're going to look for ones that have Earth and whatever the hell else, so we can choose what other impulse element we might want later. So Tree of Duality is air and wood, don't care. Rising Hurricane is air and water, don't care. Molten Wire is fire and metal. Sounds cool, but doesn't matter. Lightning Rod is air and metal, no. Steam Knight is fire and water, definitely not. Roiling Mudslide is earth and water, possibly. Jagged Berms is earth and wood, also possibly. And earth and metal and wood all have defensive armors. We'll talk about those in a moment. So let's read these real quick. Roiling Mudslide. Do we want to be able to do this at 6th level? You form water and earth into a mudslide that smashes your opponents and coats them in mud. Each creature in the area takes 2d8 bludgeoning damage with a basic fortitude save against your class DC. A creature that fails is also pushed 5 feet or 10 feet under critical failure and coated in mud until the end of its next turn. While coated in mud, the creature falls prone at the end of its movement anytime it ends a move other than a crawl or step. The creature can attempt an acrobatics check or reflex save against your class DC, avoiding the fall if it succeeds. That's boring to me. So I'm not choosing Roiling Mudslide, so I'm probably not choosing water. Let's look at Jagged Berms. It's earth and wood. You conjure up to 6 cube-shaped mounds of packed earth. Each appears in an unoccupied square within 120 feet, fills its square, and provides cover. A mound has AC 10, hardness 10, and 20 HP, and is immune to critical hits and precision damage. If destroyed, a mound becomes difficult terrain. The mounds last for an unlimited duration, but if you use the impulse again, any previous one ends. Sharpened wooden stakes protrude from each mound into adjacent squares. Kind of cool if you have a vampire-based campaign, but most people don't. They can project from any of its sides. You choose which sides for each mound. For each square of wooden stakes a creature enters, the creature takes 2d6 piercing damage. Destroying a mound also destroys its stakes. Higher levels increase the damage. Who cares? I don't want this power, so it doesn't matter. So we're probably not choosing wood or water so far. So let's look for the next one that has earth. Elemental artillery, that is metal and wood. No. Rain of Rust is metal and water. No. Desert wind is air and earth. And we have a desert theme already. Maybe this one. Spoiler, we don't want this one. A vortex of sand and dust surrounds you. Each creature inside your kinetic aura, including you, is concealed from any creature outside your kinetic aura, and creatures outside the aura are concealed from creatures inside the aura other than you. Your air impulses carry sand that cut at great speeds. When you use a damaging air impulse that affects at least one creature in your kinetic aura, that impulse deals 1 additional slashing damage or 2. If the impulse has a single target, eventually it increases more damage. I don't want this one, mainly because it's just not what I care about personally. It's just player preference. I don't give a damn about concealment. It's just not that much fun. If this is going to be one of my few impulses, boring. Okay, so not desert wind. So we're probably not going with air. We've ruled out a lot of stuff already. Living Bonfire is fire and wood. Obviously not choosing that. Ash Strider is air and fire. Obviously not choosing that. Lava Leap is earth and fire. Maybe. Let's look at Lava Leap. You wreath yourself in molten stone and hurtle toward your enemy. Leap up to your speed. At the end of your leap, a wave of lava crashes onto all creatures in a 10-foot emanation. This takes 2 actions to do, by the way. Each creature in the area takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage and 2d6 fire damage with a basic reflex save against your class DC. The cooling remains of the lava form a temporary protective shell around you, granting you a +2 circumstance bonus to AC until the end of your next turn. So you move, it takes 2 actions to move and deal some damage in an area. Just not cool enough to me. So we're not going to choose Lava Leap. And my computer's frozen. That's awesome. Okay. Ambush Bladderwort. That is water and wood. So obviously not that one. And this is the last one, Whirling Grindstone. This is the one we're going to be focusing on. It's a 4th level composite feat, which is great because 4th is the first level that you can choose composite feats at. So Whirling Grindstone is earth and metal. It says, a whirling grindstone made of flint appears in an unoccupied square within 30 feet. The grindstone shreds flesh and shoots sparks. Attempt an impulse attack roll against the AC of a creature adjacent to the grindstone. On a hit, the creature takes 2d6 slashing damage and 1d6 fire damage, or double damage on a critical hit. The grindstone lasts until the end of your next turn, and you can sustain the impulse up to 1 minute. That's great. On subsequent turns, the first time you sustain the impulse that turn, you can roll the grindstone up to 20 feet and can repeat the attack. Also handy. A creature within reach of the grindstone can interact with it to sharpen a metal weapon. This grants a +2 circumstance bonus to the next damage roll made with that weapon within 1 minute. Let's ignore that part for a moment. So you summon this big physical grindstone. It takes 2 actions to do. It appears within 30 feet. You attempt an impulse attack roll against the AC of a creature adjacent to the grindstone when it appears. On a hit, they take slashing damage and fire damage. So this is an earth, metal, composite impulse that also deals fire. So this is handy. This might even be one of the only ways that we can deal fire damage, choosing both earth and metal. And this can be sustained. So you can do this every turn and just move it and still do your normal attacks or other tricky, weird crap with your impulses. This is a good option for us. We're choosing Whirling Grindstone. So we know eventually we're going to go with Whirling Grindstone level 4. So we can include earth and metal in our impulse choices. So now we're going to the individual impulses that are earth or metal at first level, because that's where we're starting. So now we're going to look at just the earth impulses and the metal impulses, starting with earth because we know we want that. We can eventually choose metal later. This is where we're going to figure out if we're going to start with 2 elements or 1. So we're reading earth because we know we're taking earth. So let's see what earth can do. First level, armor in earth, 1 action. It's first level, like I said. Stone encases you like armor. The stone armor is medium armor, but uses your highest armor proficiency. The stone armor statistics are AC bonus +4, dex cap +1, check penalty -2, speed penalty -10, strength 16 required, bulk 1, group plate. You gain its armor specialization effect. That's cool, but it's only reducing your damage you take by 1 from slashing weapons at this point. That's not amazing. Any bonuses, runes, and magical abilities of your actual armor are suppressed, but any runes that could apply to the stone armor are replicated onto it. The stone armor lasts for 10 minutes, and you can dismiss this impulse. If you use this impulse again, any existing one ends. It gets better AC bonuses, and eventually a bulwark armor trait when you gain levels. This is just armor. It is not a shield. We're gonna pause here, because this sounds cool and defensive. However, there are 3 different types of armors that a kineticist, I keep wanting to call him an elementalist. There are 3 different types of armors that are impulses that a kineticist can choose: earth, metal, and wood. So keeping in mind the earth armor, we're looking at metal impulses now because metal also has an armor type, metal carapace. Also at level 1. Sheets of bent and rusted metal cover you in an armored shell. The carapace is medium armor but uses your highest armor proficiency. The carapace's statistics are AC bonus +3, dex cap +2, check penalty -2, speed penalty -5. I hate speed penalties. Strength required 14, bulk 2, group plate. Armor traits, noisy. Any bonuses, runes, and magical abilities of your actual armor suppressed, but any that could apply to the metal carapace are replicated onto it. When you use this impulse, you can also create a rusty steel shield. You can shield block with this shield, even if you don't have that feat. The hand wielding this shield counts as a free hand for using impulses. Let's pause and reflect for a moment. Would you rather choose the earth armor that gives you 1 more AC, requires 2 more strength, well, a bonus of 1 higher, and gives you a little bit of reduction in slashing damage that you take every time you're hit with them, or a shield and the shield block feat, and your hand that's wielding the shield counts as a free hand for using impulses? Oh wait, that's right, the metal one. The earth armor sucks because it doesn't give you a shield. Why not? Anyway, the metal carapace continues to say, the shield crumbles to flakes of rust if it becomes broken or leaves your grasp. The impulse lasts for 10 minutes and you can dismiss this impulse. If you use this impulse again, any existing one ends. The metal is rusted and fragile. If you take damage from a critical hit, the metal shatters and the impulse ends. That part sucks. However, it's 1 action to create it again. You take a critical hit, all right, it's gone. On your turn, you make it again. Also, there's nothing saying that you can't use metal carapace and then the earth armor. So you have the rusty shield and the earth armor doesn't fall apart. I know, it's silly. Between the two, for now, let's just say we choose earth because we know we're going with earth impulses for our later composite impulses and for interesting shenanigans with earthy things. So going back to earth. Let's read the other 3 possible earth impulses. Geologic attunement. It's a stance. You tune to the first level earth impulses. You tune to the earth and stone around you, extending your senses through it in rippling waves. You gain tremor sense and precise in your kinetic aura, which is usually 10 feet. Once per round, you can point out a creature you can sense with tremor sense as a free action, which is great because nobody else will ever use point out a creature that isn't a free action. Okay, maybe some people would, but it's really not common because it takes time to do it. So tremor sense, cool. Stepping stones. Discs of rock fly to points that you designate to make a new path. You can set them horizontally to make a path across the ground or atop a liquid, or anchor them into a vertical surface to make steps. That's fun, useful, and versatile. The path can be up to 20 feet 4 squares, long, and steps can extend up to 10 feet up the side of the surface. All squares must be contiguous and within 60 feet of you. So usually you're going to be traveling along this. Moving across the path lets a creature ignore difficult terrain and hazardous terrain from the ground beneath it. The discs last until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain the impulse. There is no limit to how many times you can do this as long as you keep walking, and it does take 2 actions. So it's kind of slow movement. But it's extremely useful. Like, this could be a way to get around so many things before anyone can even fly. And you don't even have to have any climbing ability. This can bypass so many different obstacles and traps. So obviously I would take that. The final ability that is Earth at level 1 is Tremor. It takes 2 actions. You unleash a small localized tremor and a 10-foot burst within 30 feet. Each creature in the area takes 1d8 bludgeoning damage with a basic fortitude save against your class DC. A creature that critically fails is knocked prone. Earth and stone in the area is difficult terrain until the start of your next turn. This is great area damage and battlefield control, and this is not an attack roll, so you can do this 2-action thing and do damage in an area, and you can still use your kinetic blast or something else that takes 1 action. So Tremor is also awesome. We're probably taking that. So now we know to cover, we're going to choose Grindstone eventually at level 4. It includes earth and metal, so by level 4 we'll probably want metal. We're starting off with at least earth, so we may or may not have two elements at first level. Now we're going to go back to how the Kineticist works in specific at first level when choosing how many elements you get. At first level, the Kineticist advancement table says you get ancestry and background, duh. Attribute boosts, duh. Initial proficiencies, yeah. Kinetic gate, kinetic aura, impulses, which are elemental blast and base kinesis, and Kineticist feat. So the Kineticist feat you get at first level, we can go over in a moment. That is any Kineticist feat. Doesn't have to be an impulse, but it can be. So that's 1 bonus impulse you get, you could think of it that way, at first level. Now the kinetic gate, this is essentially your subclass, basically. You choose single gate or dual gate. Dual gate's the easiest to explain. Your kinetic gate is a harmonious conduit between 2 planes, allowing you to combine their elements to give you a versatile set of abilities. You choose 2 elements. So at first level, you can choose 2 elements with dual gate. If you choose dual gate, you get 2 first level impulse feats, 1 with the trait of the first element and 1 with the trait of the other. So those are 2 separate impulse feats that you get, which are your powers, and you get the base 1 Kineticist impulse feat, well, Kineticist feat. So you get a total of 3 Kineticist impulse feats. One of them can be a non-element choice. Those are at the end of the Kineticist section before you get to the elements. There's a short list of a few of them that you can take that aren't elementally based. Well, not any particular element. So single gate is a little bit more complicated to explain. Single gate means you choose 1 elemental plane. You open a gate inside you and you pull out elements. Great. Sounds uncomfortable. Choose 1 element to be your kinetic element and select 2 first level impulse feats that have that element's trait. So we see at the beginning, no matter what, you can choose 3 impulse feats, whether you choose 1 element or 2. The benefit to choosing the 2 elements is that you can mix and match powers, you have more flexibility, and if some creature is resistant or immune to your element, you have another option, which is cool. The benefit to choosing just 1 element is that you get impulse junctions. Impulse junctions are bonus effects, like rider effects, when you use your impulse that takes 2 actions or more. It can be your kinetic blast, or it can be some other impulse that you use that takes 2 actions or more. The rider effect, the impulse junction, that you gain when using that impulse is based solely on that impulse's element. So if you are using an air impulse, so like you're doing slashing damage with your kinetic blast because you chose air, this has to be 2 actions or more, of course. Air Before or after the other effects of the impulse, you can either stride up to half your speed or step. If you have fly speed, you can fly up to half your fly speed instead. I've read all of these in a previous video. If you want to take a look at that there, go there. We're going to go directly to Earth and pause there. So Earth. Fragments of stone float around you, granting you a +1 circumstance bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. So we see that Earth starts off with an ability that gives you +4 to your AC, as long as you have at least 16 strength. And every time you use a 2-action kinetic impulse, Kineticist impulse, you get a +1 bonus to your AC until the start of your next turn. So Earth is very protected, which is very nice. The other elements that we might have chosen, if we were going with just one element, would have different varying abilities. Wood is really not the greatest. And air is probably the best, because air gives you extra movement. Wood gives you temporary hit points. So that's why I say it's not the best, because the others are kind of just so much more powerful. Having +1 to your AC is a big deal. And fire, it increases the damage die size of the fire damage dealt by the impulse, by a step. Recapping the Earth impulses that we know we want. Armor in Earth, because who wouldn't want to be more protected? And we're going to take stepping stones, at least these 2 Earth impulses. We might take a 3rd Earth impulse, but we still have that one Kineticist feat that doesn't have to be an impulse, it just has to be Kineticist feat. We're going to look at the other non-elemental impulse feats the Kineticists get. So we choose movement and not dying. Not dying and moving are great. Now, again, I find the easiest to go from the back of the book to the beginning. So we're going to start with Weapon Infusion, which is the last first level feat you can take alphabetically. It allows you to shape your element, your kinetic blast, into a specific weapon's shape. You can choose melee or ranged. For melee, it can be any melee weapon, and it also gets either the trait Agile, Backswing, Forceful, Reach, or Sweep. If it's ranged, you choose one of 3 options for your ranged weapon. Range increment of 100 feet and the volley 30 feet trait, range increment 50 feet and the propulsive trait, or range increment 20 feet and the thrown trait. I don't want this. I don't have to explain why. Versatile blasts. This one's tempting. Whenever you use your kinetic blast, you can change the type of damage it does based on what you chose for that element. So we chose Earth. So for Earth kinetic blast, instead of choosing bludgeoning or piercing, you can choose poison. That guy has a cool option, but I already have bludgeoning or piercing. I think I'm going to be okay for damage option types. So I'm just not going to bother with this feat, because there might be something more fun. Even that tremor one is interesting, because you can spend this feat on an impulse. Okay, now I'm going to skip to the first feat in the book for Kineticists, because it's easier to explain than the second one. Elemental Familiar. You get a familiar. It's an elemental. Don't care right now. So, the feat that I'm personally going to take, so I'm only going to take 2 Earth Impulse feats. I'm going to take the Kineticist feat, Extended Kinesis, and I will explain why. Prerequisites, base kinesis. You've refined the control you can exert over your elements. Add the following options to base kinesis. I will read this, but before I do, we should read base kinesis. So let's read base kinesis. Base kinesis. It takes 2 actions. It's an impulse kineticist primal. Pardon. It's trivial for you to create some of your element or alter a portion of it that already exists. Choose one of your kinetic elements to affect. This impulse has a range of 30 feet, and the bulk of the target must be negligible or light. The GM decides what bulk the element is. You can't affect an element that's magical, secured in place like a stone mortared in a wall, or attended by a creature unwilling to let you. Choose one of the following options, though the GM might allow you to make similar, small alterations. Base kinesis can't deal damage or cause conditions unless otherwise noted. Eventually, at 5th level, it can be light bulk. Bulk 1 instead of light bulk. But even at start, light bulk, the changes you make are permanent. So it has 3 abilities. Generate. You bring in ordinary, and these are important because the feat that we're going to look at, that we're going to choose, is based on this. This is like the way that Kineticists changed the entire universe. Generate. You bring an ordinary, non-magical piece of the chosen element from its elemental plane. The element can be used for any of its normal uses. For example, air can be breathed by an air-breathing creature, and fire casts light and can ignite flammable substances. Next ability, Move. Move an existing piece of the element up to 20 feet in any direction. If you bring it into your space, you can catch it in an open hand. You can sustain the impulse to keep moving the element. Third ability, Suppress. You destroy an existing piece of element, such as snuffing out a flame or evaporating water from a cup. This affects only natural forms of the element, not durable crafted goods like a stone statue, metal log, or wooden door. Okay, so that's some limitation, but so what? There's still so much we can do with this. So now we're going to go look at that feat that I was just talking about, Extended Kinesis. I'm going to read each of these and tell you if it's restricted by element, because some of them are. Proliferate. You cause an existing element to expand. This works like the generate option, except that you can either create an equal quantity of the element in the same square as its source or in an adjacent square, or cause the element to expand to fill its square, making a flame bigger or turning a twig into a small tree, for example. After you proliferate an element, it reacts to the environment naturally. Water you proliferated into thin air would splash back down, for example. This affects only natural forms of the element, not durable crafted goods. As I said in an earlier video, this allows you to create a forest. Next ability, Regulate. This only affects air, fire, metal, or water. It's not going to affect what we're doing. It essentially changes the temperature of the element that we made. We're only messing with earth right now, so I'm not even going to read that. Don't even worry about it right now. Sculpt. Earth, metal, or wood only. Reshape an existing element into a small object of a design you choose. It looks crude and artificial on close examination. The sculpted element can be shaped into a functional short tool or a long tool if your base kinesis can affect one bulk or greater. It's too fragile and artificial to be used as a weapon or have any monetary value. Alright. You can create anything that is from the plane of Earth, if you are an Earth Kineticist. Earth includes crystalline structures. Crystalline structures include things like glass, and you can sculpt them. You can make models, you can make shaped glass, you can make colored glass. You can hollow out a mountain and make a mountain retreat for yourself. You could have just destroyed all of that earth, and if you had metal, you could do the same thing with all of the ore that you find there. Even if you don't, you're destroying all of the non-metallic earth around the metal. So all of that ore, just like in Minecraft, just falls to the ground, and now you have all of that ore to go sell or craft things with. This is amazing. This is BS. These are some of the ideas that Arkham Creed 4326 shared on a comment on an earlier video. This is amazing. As he said, you could have just like 4 Kineticists at first level with different elements. Change the entire planet. Or hell, make a new planet! Why not? It's still in your ability! And if you have enough mass from having enough, I don't know, metal and earth, you've created gravity. You have an air kineticist with you, they've created air for you out in space. As long as you guys can get off of your planet, you have a new planet. You can make your own spaceship out of wood, and you can propel it with fire or air. What? This needs some revision? I think there should be some limitations on this. I think we need a little bit of errata, or just not, and we can do anything we want. I wonder how Society Play is going to handle this stuff. This is awesome. Yeah, okay. So our greedy little dwarf friend, Harg, is going to make himself as rich as possible by just touching rocks and making them disappear, and just mining without a mining pick. And once you get to 5th level, you can do that with bulk of 1 instead of light. So it goes much, much faster. It's like speed 1 on your mining pick in Minecraft. Anyway, obviously I like this. So this is a cool character to make. It's also, one thing about making a kineticist though, it's kind of a weird little quirk. So their ability base for the class is Constitution. Can anyone tell me any skills that are based on Constitution? Yeah, so like, they're not really automatically great at any skill. I mean, maybe like holding their breath. Is that a skill? Not really. So, like, you don't really have an automatic boost to any particular skills. Like, sorcerers are good at lying because charisma. But what are you good at? At taking hits? Like, there are going to be so many melee kineticists because you can do it. And there's a 4th level metal element impulse that allows you to create magnetism, repelling or attracting people made of or wearing metal. So you give like the armored knight right next to you, they have to stay near you because every step away from you is difficult terrain. They're just not getting away from a kineticist who wants to be a tank. And any tanky wanty person out there is going to dip into kineticist for some of these amazing abilities. Even just being able to conjure armor onto yourself at will. That's why I've taken Soul Forger on some of my builds just for automatic armor, because it's easy and convenient and fun, has extra powers. This is going to be replacing and affecting so many builds. Alright, I have one more gripe bitch session to have with you. So anyway, Harg is cool. He's going to go like take everything from the Earth he possibly can and going to go off with some other kineticists to make a new planet. Because why not? Yeah. That Earth Weird never should have given him elemental powers. That was pretty dumb. Whoops. Anyway, so I have a gripe. There are 3 impulses for separate elements that each give you armor. The Earth impulse that gives you armor is just the armor, as I discussed earlier. It's the 4 AC, and you have to have a strength of 16. It gives you a reduction in the damage you take against slashing weapons by 1. I know, eventually 2, fine. But by 1. So Metal Carapace is the second, I guess, alphabetically, of the impulse feats that give you armor. The Metal Carapace is up to AC bonus 3. It requires a strength of 14. It's in the plate group, and it's noisy, which kind of sucks. When you create it, it gives you a rusty shield. It also gives you the shield block feat while you're using this shield, which is great. And your hand counts as being free for shooting people with bolts of metal, I guess, or whatever other impulses you want to use. However, if you get critically hit, you lose all your crap. All armor goes away, including the shields. Just goes bye-bye. It just dispels this, because it's all brittle, which sucks. So that's 2 of what I would think would be the sturdiest, best armors. We're going to look at one more. Yeah. Oh yeah, we are. Wood impulses. Let's look at hardwood armor. AC bonus plus 3. Dex cap plus 2, just like the metal. Check penalty minus 2. Speed penalty minus 5. Strength 14. Bulk 1, just like the metal. I don't see a noisy trait. You don't get a critical specialization. Yeah, you don't get the critical specialization for it. Alright. Any bonuses, runes, and magical abilities of your actual armor suppressed, but any runes that could apply to the hardwood armor are replicated onto it, just like the other 2 armors. When you use this impulse, you can also create a wooden shield and a free hand. Cool. You can shield block with this shield even if you don't have that feat. Great. The hand wielding this shield counts as a free hand for using impulses. Just like the metal one. Alright. The shield decays in an instant if it becomes broken or leaves your grasp. Alright, the shield does. That's fine. Armor lasts 10 minutes. You can dismiss this impulse. If you use this impulse again, an existing one ends. Did you hear any other penalties? Or flaws or drawbacks? I didn't. It's not noisy. It gives you a shield and the shield block reaction. It doesn't fall apart if you get a critical hit. The wood armor is better than the metal or earth. How does that make any sense? I guess I don't care because I'll take it. Because that's great. I have a build that I made with the wood armor because, yeah, why wouldn't you? So this needs to be modified a little bit. Just make the wood, don't nerf the wood one. Just make the metal and earth a little cooler. Just somehow a little bonus, little buff. Because, like, the earth not getting a shield, that just kind of blows. Especially if you're Kineticist. You have hands free when you're using the other shields. And it's not like you need a two-handed weapon or something. You blast people. You can even melee blast people. So you don't need the hands. You can have a shield. Why can't you have a shield? Fix this, please. Paizo, I love you. But this isn't cool, man. Okay. So we've created our hero. Who's gonna get rich off of using the earth element. And maybe metal eventually. Maybe. Like, who cares? But sure, maybe. So there are options, obviously, as you see. There are a lot of different other impulses that I didn't go over. If you want more info about a lot of this stuff, go to the Discord server. I've put a lot of this info up on the server. So just go take a look. There's lots of helpful people there too. The link's in the description. Or on the About page of the YouTube thing. Go to the YouTube page that you're on and click About, and there's a link for Discord. Go to Discord there. Yeah. Anyway, if you want help building one of these, I'll be happy to help. Let me know. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our lovely patron people. I'm grateful for you, and this doesn't work without you. So cool. I appreciate you. So anyway, go to the Patreon if you want to check it out. Our patrons get a free thing created by me every month. Basically whatever they like. So if you want to help out the channel, if you want to help me make these videos and make more of them and make them better and cooler, then please go to Patreon and support. I'd appreciate it. If you want to check the other Kineticist videos or Rage of Elements videos that I've made, click here. And if you want to see a build video, click here. Like, thumbs up, comment, tell the algorithm gods that we have good videos. And thank you for being here. Okay, love you, bye-bye.